He's on the back of an old new tractor, blowing off steam in the mouth of old sycamore strings. I'll have a taste of whatever he's got, oh man, oh Lord.
I'm Cindy Abril, and you're watching I'm Just Sayin'. Joining me today is Marty Stevens-Heebner, an incredibly knowledgeable professional organizer whose business, Clear Home Solutions, specializes in transitions, organization, and inventory. Marty is a member of NAPO, the National Association of Professional Organizers, and is also an accredited senior move specialist. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you. I have to throw this in too. I'm also a member of the National Association of Senior Move Managers. There are just organizations for everybody these days.
Of course you are.
It's very helpful.
You and I met at NAPO.
Yes.
Because I, too, am doing a little professional organizing these days. It's so great.
Yeah.
But you know a lot about seniors.
Yes, I do. I do.
I feel like there are so many seniors here in West Hollywood.
In general, it's the biggest growing part of the population. It's the baby boomers. They're starting to move through the early parts of seniordom, 65 plus, and also 85 plus, what they call the very old, believe it or not. They're just growing. That part of the population is growing by leaps and bounds, and it's amazing how healthy many people are staying into their 90s. I mean, they're active, they're still driving, and safely so. It's extraordinary.
And what do you feel are the needs? What are senior needs compared to non-seniors?
Well, for example, in moving, do you remember the last time you moved?
Yes, it was awful.
Yeah, to use professional parlance, I like to say it sucked.
Yes.
I bet, for me too. Now, imagine you're 85. And maybe you have a bad knee or COPD, the lung problems, heart problems, what have you. You're feeling very weak. And you're living in a house like 3 bedrooms, 2 stories, and you've lived there 20, 30, 40 years. And it's time to move. And you have grown kids, adult children, like I was with my parent, my father in particular. But they may live out of state. Even if they're local, they have their own jobs. They have their own families. They have their own kids. And they're the sandwich generation. And sometimes even their kids may have kids, depending on how old the parent is.
Sure.
So they really need all the help they can get in terms of going through all those memories.
And what about the seniors who are unfortunately alone?
That just breaks my heart. They have no one to rely on. And that's when they can rely on us. We can come in. And basically, I like to say we handle everything to do with stuff top to bottom, beginning to end. People can work with us as much or as little as they want to. We can start out with things like scheduling, just figuring out when they're moving and backing up everything they need to do up to that move date. And then we can come in and we start to sort and downsize. And that's interesting. It's a walk down memory lane. Oftentimes it's a treasure hunt. Sometimes it feels like a little like an archaeological dig, depending on how much stuff is there. I always find it fascinating because I've always loved stories. And so that's really what you're finding out is this person's story. And then often when you have the 2 generations involved, the adult child and the senior, it's really good to have a third party who's a buffer because I find that most people want to look good in front of the new party involved, which
Sure.
can help. And plus you don't have that family stuff going on.
I would love to always have a buffer.
So,
like, can you come over for Christmas and Thanksgiving? I need a buffer.
We need a referee, please.
Really?
And a penalty box.
And then how do you do you have a lot of situations where seniors live in a certain place and maybe their children live in a different location?
Oh, yeah, cross country. And sometimes, too, it's really interesting especially if a senior, say in Los Angeles, wants to move to be with their family in Texas or New York or where have you, I can tap into the national network. And we'll take care of them on this end, and then we find somebody who's really great on the other end who does what we do. So
That's amazing.
Yeah. And especially if they're moving into a place for assisted living. And by the way, the communities these days are wonderful. Some of them are almost like resorts. There are so many activities going on.
Wait, which one?
Oh.
Because I've seen some horror stories.
Absolutely. There are. And this is why, actually, I will say that there are some great, what they call their placement agencies, where there are people whose job it is. They get the call that says, we have to take care of dad. We have to take care of mom. What do we do? Who do we go to? Where do we go? And they'll go in and assess whether they need in-home care or if they should move to a community. And then they decide what kind of community. Is it independent living? Is it assisted living where they need help with what they call ADLs, activities of daily life, which are the things like bathing, dressing, eating, going to the bathroom, that kind of thing.
Sure.
If they need help with that, we can get in-home care, whether it's a couple of hours a week or 24 hours a day. And then in terms of the communities, I mean, there's assisted living where they can get help with those ADLs. And it's really great because they get their meals, they get taken care of, their rooms get cleaned. If, God forbid, they fall, there's help right there.
Sure.
And plus, they're in a community of their peers. So it's people with the common memory.
Great.
You know, and they don't have to deal with toddlers and screaming teenagers and all that sort of stuff. So they really can be quite wonderful.
And then, have you found seniors maybe who aren't ready to let go of their things and they have to maybe downsize to a nursing home, or how do you deal with that?
It's emotional. And I always tell people, you're going through the emotional flu. There's an end to it, but you have to go through the process. And we're like the doctors and nurses and decongestant and cough syrup that get you through it. And we handle this part of the transition as smoothly as possible. And I sit there with them and I try to find out what it is that's preventing them from letting go of things that they really, it's kind of obvious they should let go of. Sometimes, our culture right now really teaches or treats seniors like they should be discarded. Just cast them to the side, forget them, what have you. It's a time to be dreaded, and it shouldn't be a time to be dreaded at all. But I often encounter people who I can tell are kind of projecting that feeling of being discarded onto their objects.
Sure.
And because they'll say something like, "Well, I'd hate to see you just go in the trash," and so I'll just say, "That's not going to happen. No. Someone else is going to love this beautiful glass piece just as much as you do, because either your daughter might want it, we can ship it to her." If it's really valuable, like, it's a Yadro piece or something like that, we can sell that. That's not a problem. Or we can donate it. Someone would love to have that. And they'll say, "Oh, well, that's good to hear." And you can feel that kind of relief that's going on. So it's really trying to figure out what's preventing them from letting go. Plus, one of the things we do is we create a floor plan for them, which is I should have brought it. It's very fun. It has like little magnetic pieces. You set up the shape on it and you move the pieces around. And it's kind of fun because it's interactive and they can start picking and choosing what goes where.
Sure.
And then it's not as scary a process because they see that they have choices. And they also see how much can actually fit into this 1 or 2 bedroom that they're moving into.
What's your best story about moving a senior?
Oh, wow.
One that stands out in your mind.
Oh, we did something kind of unusual in this case. It was this lovely couple, and they were young, maybe mid to late 60s, and dementia had taken over with him. And she had a full-time job and was going to stay in the house, but he needed to move to a community that handled Alzheimer's and memory care. And he had a new studio that he was going to move into. He needed furniture. And he was moving quickly, like within a week or so she needed help. And so I went shopping for her. And I created a system using spreadsheets and photos and everything like that. I went to, St. Vincent de Paul. I went to Salvation Army. I went to IKEA and took photos of all kinds of different things. So they had choices, and then I would go buy for them. She was just elated. And I was so pleased with the outcome because it felt masculine. It had a dark brown leather chair. Plus, he was very tall, so there were some parameters. The chair had to be so high.
Sure. And
that sort of thing. And it looked great. And she was ecstatic.
What I have found about professional organizing is you don't realize how important it is for people until you're there and you realize what an effect the organization. Sometimes it can change their lives. Sometimes it can really save their lives. I have a client who takes heart medication, who, because the medication was just in a place that really wasn't, he didn't see it every day.
Yeah.
He wouldn't take his medication regularly. And it's just amazing to see that one little thing that you can do can really help somebody so deeply.
And save their life.
And save their life.
One of the things, this is the 4th business I've started. And this is the one I just love the most because I go home feeling so useful every single day. And the people who work with me feel that way too because when it's done, when they're through the emotional flu, finally, they're so grateful. And you just know, how often do you feel like you really made a good difference in somebody's life?
Not very often. Not as deep as this goes.
Yeah,
You're in their home.
You're in their home, and also we're bonded and insured. And so, because, we come across not just blank checks and checks that haven't been deposited yet, we've come across cash stashed in the backs of drawers and things. And so people know we're completely trustworthy with this. So you don't want to just have anybody, and Social Security numbers all over the place, tax returns. And so it's really great because they trust, I always tell people it's an honor when they choose to work with us, because they are trusting us to come into their home with all that information and also taking care of them in this part of their lives. It's not just the seniors we're taking care of, but really the adult children who are frightened for their parents, who see their own mortality now, are touching that themselves. I mean, I lost my mother when I was only 26 and she was 58. And this is may sound odd, but obviously the greatest gift she gave me was my life.
Sure.
I would say the second greatest gift she gave me was that I was there as she died in that moment.
Sure.
It was from cancer. Because I saw that death, especially in this case, was really a release from the pain and the suffering, and that it was not to be feared.
Sure.
You know, especially when one is taken by nature's hand and not a violent one.
Correct.
Then it's really a release from this pain and suffering. And a lot of the pain and suffering at the end, if you plan for it, like if we were all, and because it taught me to embrace the fact that I have a third act and a finale to plan for.
Sure.
Thank you, Mom. And so when I was recently going through this with my father, he was 90 years old and had had a great life when he passed this last March. And being able to guide him through that process, going back and forth between here, my home in LA, and his home in Buffalo, and just understanding it and being willing to just let him go, and knowing the questions ahead of time to find out from him so that we could take care of him properly afterward.
I love it. It's so awesome that you're here.
Oh, well, thank you.
So much more to say. When we come back, Marty and I will discuss one of life's biggest drags, moving.
Yo, check out this chef, right? Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those pants.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
We're back, and joining me today is professional organizer Marty Stevens-Heebner. Marty.
Cindy.
We were finishing up on seniors, and you wanted to finish a thought.
Well, I brought up placement agencies, and I wanted to finish. I realized I left out a very important point. I was talking about the in-home care, but then also one of their specialties is making sure to find exactly the right community for your parents' needs. It's a very extensive interview process where they find out, obviously, finances, because there are different levels that one can afford, and more importantly, what help do they need? Do they not need any help? Do they have something like COPD, heart trouble, a hip problem, what have you? Are they in a wheelchair? Because there are certain communities that are better with that than others. Also Alzheimer's, mental care, or memory care, that sort of thing. And so they find places that handle that best. And then also the really good placement people take into account really the whole community's culture. There's a place out in Pasadena that's wonderful where all the JPL people end up going when they decide to move into communities.
Got it.
Other ones are more like very creatively focused. And so they find just the right fit. It's really great.
That sounds amazing.
It's vital.
But it sounds like you need money for that type of fit. Because I only hear the horror stories. I only work with people who are like, oh, they're taking my whole check and they leave me $3 for cookies.
Well, here's the thing. That's why it's actually good to work with the placement people. For one thing, you don't have to pay them. They actually get a fee from their placements, so you don't have to worry about that. And they take that into account. They find the best places for you.
And what kind of placement agency? What senior placement agency? What's it called?
Well, there's a number of them.
What would it be called though? Where would somebody research?
Yes, senior placement.
Okay.
Or placement for senior communities, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's what you Google.
Got it. And that's how they find it. So let's talk about moves. Moving.
We have.
The thing about moving is there are so many steps, so much to do, from looking at what you have to trying to downsize to figuring out what you want to bring with you to figuring out where it's going to getting it there to figuring out where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nightmare.
Well, think about the last time you did it.
It was the last time I moved was pretty darn organized, I will say. It was a
nightmare.
It's you.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare, but it was pretty darn organized.
Well, that just really says something, because even with your skill set, it was still so difficult. And you're a youngin', and you're agile. And again, if you're a senior, I mean, we work with people of all ages, mind you, but our target is really helping seniors, because that's where we feel we do the most good.
Sure.
And it is a nightmare. And so it really helps to have a guide and a coordinator through the process. I love it if the family to a degree at least, can get involved with them because it's just the parent feels so much more cared for and even that much more safe. But sometimes they can't, and I understand. And we're happy to, believe me, we're happy to handle it top to bottom.
Sure.
But, if, say, for example, if it were your parents, if you can come in at least help with some of the downsizing, help with maybe what we call resettling, after we've actually got them from point A to point B, and we're unpacking. And resettling is really putting the silverware away where it should be, where the toiletries go, making the bed. And you can kind of be there and it's really great because when the senior walks in then, they're home. So after we resettle everything, they can walk in and it feels like home. And especially if the daughter or son or what have you is there to guide them into their home, it just feels that much more safe to them.
Sure. And how about the non-senior moves? Because it's a nightmare for any age. It's a nightmare for any age, let me tell you. What would you say is the checklist? Like, okay, I have to leave my place in 30 days. Where do you even start?
First, you start with scheduling. You start setting up meetings with movers. Or if it's local, you can call them and at least get their hourly rate. If you're moving cross country, you find out, especially if it's summer, because that's the top moving time, you need to get on their schedule ahead of time as much as possible. So that's number one. And we're kind of lucky because with our we're very lucky because with our professional organizations, we actually have discounts with some of the different movers, which is really helpful.
Got it.
So start there, and then as soon as you can, start sorting and downsizing and organizing. And don't think of doing it all at once. Create small steps. Start in. We have our great way to start is we actually have our cleanse concept.
Great.
And so this is part of our organizing in general, but it really is part of the move as well. So cleanse stands for concentrate, localize, eliminate, assign, note, sustain, and enjoy. Now let me explain.
Beautiful.
Concentrate, see, in one area at a time. And don't just concentrate in the living room. Pick not even just the bookshelf, one shelf of the bookshelf. Check that off the list. Because you create small goals and they're so much more easily accomplished.
Correct.
And it's a relief. And you know this as an organizer.
I do, and I love it because you're telling me everything that I try to tell my clients. You just try not to get overwhelmed. You're just dealing with one small area, and then we're going to move on, and then by the time you know it, you're done.
You are, exactly, and it hasn't been a nightmare. And then L stands for localize. So localize the items where they will work the most. Now, in moving, when you really want to label things as to where they will end up. For example, you're working on, obviously kitchen items belong in the kitchen, in the cabinets, in the drawers, what have you. But when I'm working with an organizing client, for example, one of my clients, she liked to write out her bills and pay them in her bedroom.
Sure.
As a result, her bedroom walls at the bottom were lined with years of bills. So she said, we should move these out to the desk in the living room, right? And I said,
No. Oh, I fight. Because they think they're going to hire a professional organizer to make their home look like the magazine. And it's just not functional that way. That would look great, but when I come back in a week, it'll be right back, and you'll have a mini mountain next to your bed.
I love that.
Is that not true?
It's so true. It's so important to work with people's systems, because even if they're hoarders, they have a system.
Correct.
Like a point of view of how they handle things, and work out from that. Because then it's not so completely foreign to them. And in this woman's case, I said, no, you're going to pay your bills here. We're going to get a file cabinet and make folders that make sense for you. And she's loved it.
I thought, as soon as you said that, I visualized a little caddy on wheels, this chic little caddy that you could just make, that's what people don't understand. I would love for you to nail it in their heads. You don't have to change anything that you do. You have to embrace what you do, and you place things where you use them.
Exactly.
Not where they should go in a perfect world.
No, exactly.
You set it up the way
won't
you
use
live.
it.
You'll never use it, and you'll never put it away. You'll never find it.
Oh, that
whole thing.
Unless you call me, and then I can try to remember.
Okay, where are we on E?
CLE, eliminate. Eliminate items you're no longer using. If you haven't worn that sweater in 2 years, let someone else enjoy it. If it's a cashmere sweater you bought for $700, sell it on eBay, use a consignment shop. Give it to your best friend. Or donate it. Oh my goodness, somebody would love to wear that. Let it go.
What's the name of the business for women? The one, the charity for women. I'm so terrible.
Council for Jewish Women.
That one is one.
Oh, they're
But there are
fantastic.
so many where they give
Goodwill.
but where they're giving, women a chance who are trying to be business women. I wish I could remember.
Step Up?
That one's another one. There are so many, but anyway.
But that's the whole thing.
A lot of people out there need a lot of things.
They really do. And someone will love it just as much as you did. And they'll use it and you haven't. So be generous that way. Remember, there are people who need these things. Need. So A is for assigned categories. Give everything a place in a category that it belongs to. So it knows where it needs to go, whenever that may be. And we'll be talking about more containers later because I know you've got a bunch we can use.
So that would be, for example, you pair like with like.
Yeah, exactly.
All of your glue sticks in one little container or area, and that helps also, have you noticed, because people go rebuying and spending money on things they already have but they can't find.
Yeah, I mean, it saves you money, it saves you time, it saves you so much. And there's
So
open
much.
space, which is just such a, and we'll get to that because that's part of it. The last E.
That's a whole other thing. The feeling that I get when I'm done.
Yeah.
My cameraman here, I did his place when I left. We went to IKEA and had a ball. I mean, it was a nightmare for him, but I had a blast.
I call IKEA the battle cry of shoppers.
It was amazing. And then I made him assemble everything while I was doing other
Jonathan
things.
can do that.
Yeah, he was amazing. When I left, I have the most amazing after photos of his place.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just, it was just like, I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I'm so stoked for him that this is going to be his life until he messes it up again.
And then he'll come back. And you'll fix it.
I'll
There you
come
go.
back.
Sometimes people need, and we could do that maintenance. We're happy to do that.
Correct.
And then N is for note any items that need special handling that you're letting go of, like paints, paint thinner, that sort of thing. There are special ways to dispose of that. And we can even do that for people. We're happy to cart it off to the hazardous waste places. And then electronic waste. For example, cell phones, you can usually take to your own cell service provider, and they'll recycle them, and sometimes they'll give you a few bucks off your bill, which is kind of nice.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, which is
Awesome.
really great. And so that's the end of clean. Now the rest of cleanse is S, sustain.
Correct.
What we've created for you by using the methods that we teach you. And E is enjoy all your new space. And it's not just new, as you know, new physical space. It's that emotional space and also that time space that you now have because everything's orderly.
You don't know the weight. You don't know the effect that all this has on you until it's gone. And then you realize how much it really affected your everyday life.
It really did.
Your every single day life. Even if you're not acknowledging that you are living in clutter and you know it when it's gone.
And it's such a relief.
It's like exhale. When we come back, more organizing with Marty.
Nice shirt.
We're back. You're watching I'm Just Saying, and with me today is professional organizer Marty Stevens-Heebner. We are going to discuss organizing on a budget.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Oh, it's so easy.
Okay. Is it not true that when people think that they're going to organize, they go right to the store to buy things?
Who doesn't love to shop? That's the reason.
Right? Cute little containers
Oh, yeah.
and cool, everything, every gadget you
And then
can
they
think
don't use
of.
them.
And then you don't use them. So we are going to discuss all the things that we can do.
You
on
rated
a
your
budget.
house.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so here's the drawer organizer that you can buy at the store.
Got a few.
For your junk drawer, you insert it there, and you keep things together. You pair like with like, so all your paper clips here.
Assign categories.
Yeah,
A.
yeah. And then you can have like a miscellaneous little square. Couple of batteries, whatever, a flashlight, whatever happens.
Keychains.
Keychains, there you go. So if you don't have money And speaking of which, you don't have to pay a ton. I got this at Big Lots. I still have the thing for $3.99. $3.99 are usually.
That's cute.
Yeah, right? Super cute. If you don't have the money, start thinking of things. Can't people think of things in a different way?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you already have so many things lying around.
So here we are. I know.
Earring holder.
Okay.
Paper clips.
Paper clips.
Rubber bands.
Rubber bands. Earrings. Little things.
Yep.
Tools. Anything. You could, junk drawer.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. Look
Batteries,
at things,
little batteries.
Look at how you can corral things that you own and just look at things differently.
And you can even cut that in half if that's all you need.
And if your drawer isn't big enough, you cut this up and you can really,
It's so easy. And sometimes it's even not, it's not even avoiding the expense so much as the trip to the stores that have these things. That ice cube tray, you just buy at the grocery store when you're there.
It's the money. It's the money too.
And the time.
Correct. Time is everything.
Is money. Time is money.
It really is. Here we go.
Oh,
Silverware.
Yeah.
This can contain, look, it's got its own little containing areas this could be stationery.
Business cards.
Pens.
Rulers.
You name it. Whatever. Look around your home. And look at things differently.
Dog and cat leashes.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Anything that you can pair up and put away neatly and organized that you already have lying around. This was a little gift bag that was given to me. Super cute little box.
Cute.
And it ended up containing
other gift bags.
I grouped them together. Mm-hmm. So this could have gone in the trash. It's just a box, or you could have wasted whatever. It's totally cute. I see it all the time. When I open my closet, there it is, adorable. With
and
my
it's
little
sturdy.
bags, and it's sturdy. And my little bags are in there. All my cutesy little bag bags.
And you can put ribbons in there, wrapping paper, all kinds of stuff.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Because you always want to pair like with like. A shoebox, you should never look as only a shoebox.
Oh, yeah. Especially for things like stationery.
For everything. I mean, this itself is, it could be anything you want. You can label it on the outside and put, let's say, towels, a couple of towels, or baby clothes that in a plastic, and then put it there. And, label them, stack them up. You can use them as, if your drawers are big and deep enough, as drawer organizers, or just one as a drawer organizer.
Right.
Never look at a shoebox as just a shoebox.
Especially when it's cute like that one.
However, don't go saving every shoebox that you...
Well, that's the other thing. It's like something cute and this is bigger. It's really cute and colorful. Yeah.
Don't go saving every freaking box that you buy.
Yeah, we don't want to inspire that.
We don't want to inspire that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Loved it. Learned so much.
Thank you.
That is all for today. Thank you so much, City of West Hollywood, Yvette Sotelo, Marcus Martinez, Jonathan Gist, and my lovely partner, Nicholas King. Thank you, and have a great night.
He's on the back of an old new tractor, blowing off steam in the mouth of old sycamore strings. I'll have a taste of whatever he's got, oh man.